All right, now it's time for a little segment here on the pod that we call Prize Picks Elite Entry, where Sean and I compare our projections to the lines in the Prize Picks app to build some entries. Every week on this show, we do running backs. So we'll do 2 running back picks each. Sean, start us off. Who is your top running back Prize Pick Elite Entry play for week number 6?
So my first play here is a Thursday night football prop. Love giving at least one of these out every week, but that's Miles Sanders to get less than 3.5 receptions this week against the Buccaneers. Certainly we don't like going over on the rushing props against Buccaneers, but I think this is a good spot to go against Sanders on his receiving prop. And I'm projecting this closer to 3.1 receptions this week. Last week he did see a spike in terms of routes run. He had a 68% routes run share, ended up catching 5 balls for 6 yards. So he wasn't that efficient, but that was a close game. And we've seen Miles Sanders heavily involved in close game scripts. But when it comes to trailing game scripts, which we should see Thursday night against the Buccaneers, that's when they like to use Kenneth Gainwell a bit more. So I think he could see more playing time at the expense of Miles Sanders. And at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts loves to pull it down and run. He doesn't like dumping it off to his running back. So Miles Sanders has only seen a 14.7 target rate on his routes run. So that's why I'm projecting this closer to 3. I think the under 3.5 has quite a bit of value here.
Yeah, it was a pretty disappointing week for Gainwell overall.
Mm-hmm.
But long term, I still think he's the guy that's going to be cutting into Sanders' workload more and more. So I like that. And I like it so much that I am going under on Miles Sanders rushing. Under 30.5 at PrizePicks. Last week, Miami, Myles Gaskin, the starter, put up a monster fantasy day. He had 5 carries for 25 yards. Savon Ahmed had 2 carries for 5 yards. The week before that, Brandon Bolden, Damian Harris, and J.J. Taylor combined for 6 carries for -4 yards. So that's 13 carries for 26 yards over the last 2 weeks. The Tampa Bay defense over the last 2 weeks has allowed 13 yards per game from running backs. They have allowed 2 yards per carry to running backs. Miles Sanders averaging only 9.6 carries per game. So even if you give him 3 yards a carry, he falls short of this number. And it's not necessarily a given here against this defense, who have shut down pretty much everyone. But you also look at Sanders, and as you mentioned, the game script kind of dictates it. The matchup dictates it. He has had a game where he's had 2 carries. He's had a game where he's had 7 carries. Both of those games came in the last 3 weeks. So Miles Sanders has been under this number in 2 of the last 3 weeks, including even in a cake matchup against Kansas City. Why? Because they were in a trailing game script. So he's only been over that 3.5 reception number once in the past 3 weeks. He's only been over the 30.5 rushing once in the last 3 weeks. This is not the matchup for him to do either, I think. So love Miles Sanders under 30.5 rushing yards. We're just Miles Sanders fade.
Yeah, Miles Sanders fade. And I'm with you here. And remember this time last week, I had Malcolm Brown under 27.5 rushing yards against the same defense, and he finished with zero rushing yards.
Yeah, I like that so much. That I used it on our live show. Convinced me
when it was at 20.5.
Yeah, and I still bet it, which is why I have utmost confidence betting Miles Sanders under 30.5 this week.
Love it. I mean, Jalen Hurts may go over his rushing prop, but I would never go against him, but he should be able to air it out. And they could move the ball through the air, and it's just going to be a negative game script. Would not surprise me if Sanders has fewer than 7 carries this week with very little efficiency. So love this call as well.
Yeah, and that's why you have to filter out, I think, the rushing against the running backs from the quarterbacks, because it's one thing, you see a guy get a handoff, the linebackers can fire downhill, versus when a quarterback's running, and a lot of times they come on scrambles, things like that. It's a totally different environment, and what goes into stopping the run of a guy like Hurts than a guy like Sanders. So we're fading Sanders. Where are you going for your prize pick elite entry running back prop number 2?
So I'm getting gutsy here, just like my Tyreek Hill under last week. I'm fading the best running back in football right now, and that is Derrick Henry to go under 105.5 rushing yards. I've been on his over the past couple weeks and hit, but like I mentioned, dating back to last season, he's averaging 95 rushing yards in losses and 143 rushing yards in wins. So this week, they're plus 5.5 against the Bills. So this is potentially a negative game script. Obviously they're going to lean on Henry a ton, but the Bills defense has been unreal this year. They ranked first in passing DVOA and they ranked first in rushing DVOA. So this is a tough matchup for Henry. I'm projecting him closer to about 97 yards here, but I think the play here is to go under 105.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I'm right on this line. So, I don't have him quite under.
I don't blame you, but yeah.
I don't think Derrick Henry and under, they just don't go in my vocabulary together.
I consider myself the Derrick Henry whisperer. So dating back to last year, I'm 3-0 when fading him, and I think 5-0 taking his over. So just trust me on this one. It seems scary, but you got to trust the process here.
All right, no, I don't hate it. I mean, if you're the Derrick Henry whisperer, then I can't go against you on that one. It is a tough matchup. The Bills have been so much better against the run this year. To close it out, I am going to go with Antonio Gibson over 60.5 rushing yards. Again, Gibson's playing a Chiefs defense that's ranked dead last in rushing DVOA. That is schedule adjusted. So, just in case you thought they faced maybe some great backs, they haven't. Gibson's getting over 70% of the backfield carries this year. So in this matchup, I think Gibson, obviously the Chiefs are going to put up some points here, but this hasn't stopped the Chiefs from giving up a ton of production at running backs. So he's gone over this number in 3 out of 5 weeks. And last week, he still had 20 for 60 versus a really tough Saints defense that he averaged only 3 yards per carry again. So this Chiefs defense, ranked dead last in rushing DVOA. They're going to give up a lot more than that. So I think Gibson goes over for the 4th time in 6 weeks this week against the Chiefs, even though I do expect some production in the passing game from Heineke. I still think this is a Gibson spot. So over 60.5 rushing yards for Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, I'm with you here. And like I said earlier, when we were talking about running backs, I made the mistake of fading Gibson. That's rare for me. I had him all the way down to RB24 last week. I was worried about his injury and the matchup against the Saints, and he crushed expectations. So I'm never doing that again. Like I always say, he's still learning how to be a running back. Heading into his rookie season last year, he was wide receiver converting to running back. So he's looked a lot better this year. He's only going to get better. So I'm a big fan of just investing in Gibson whenever possible right now. This matchup's way easier this week, and I'm projecting him at 65 rushing yards. So I like the over as well here.
20 carries twice all of last year, 20 carries already twice in 5 games this year. So Antonio Gibson over 60.5. That is going to wrap it up for our PrizePicks Elite Entry segment. To recap, Sean going Miles Sanders under 3.5 receptions against the Buccaneers, and Derrick Henry under 105.5 rushing yards against the Bills on Monday night. I'm going with Miles Sanders under 30.5 rushing yards against the Bucs on Thursday, and Antonio Gibson over 60.5 rushing yards against the Chiefs this Sunday. Remember, PrizePicks markets do move, so you want to hop on these lines quick before the number moves. If you haven't created a PrizePicks account yet, check out the link in our episode description, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100, or visit prizepicks.com and use the promo code ACTION10. That's ACTION10.